Alright, today's video is going to be about seat belts. But unlike many more of my videos, I'm not going to be going over how to install them because literally it's 2 bolts. It's not that difficult to install and there's really not that much of a trick to it. But what I'm going to go over on this is more what a seat belt should look like when it's installed. I mean, you really can't even tell I have these seat belts installed. Here, it's got a nice little connector with a sheath on it. It's not sticking out. It's not causing any problem. You can't see it when you're not sitting in it. It has a retractor back here that has an inertial sensor in there, so if it needs to stop, it'll stop. When you pull the seat forward, so when you pull them forward, you can see that there's nothing in here that's going to obstruct your ability to get back in there. And in this case, you know, it makes it easier for the dog to get in and out the back. I got a big dog and he's going to want to jump up in there. And if I had a seat belt coming across here, it would be an obstacle and I'd have to wrangle it. And every time you wanted to get in and out, it would be a hassle. We're going with just the lap belts. This little cap right here is a cap for if you use the shoulder belts. It's an option. And that's the shoulder belts are the only retractable seat belts that you can buy for the MGB. Now I got these at Seatbelts Plus, and I was really happy with the site. It makes it really easy for you to find the products. They make a lot of products for a lot of different types of cars, but in this case it's not a car specific or vehicle specific product. And if you just take some basic measurements, you'll be able to find the right product for you. Let me show you how I took those measurements to come to the part that I had come up with here. I'll put these parts in the description and a link to the site, so you can help you find the parts that you're looking for as well. Also, I'm going to go over a couple of quick little tips and tricks about how to install these. Again, it's only 2 bolts. It's not that difficult, but the geometry is a little irregular and it might be a little complicated. So I'll just show you some tricks that I came across. Okay, yeah, so it's 2 bolts, but maybe not really that simple. Let me show you some insight into some of the challenges so that you can go at this a little easier and not suffer through the trial and error. First off, these retractors have quite a lot of distance between where the bolt is and where you can access it. So by the time you get it in there, you can see you don't have any access to the bolt with your fingers back here, right? So that it's going to be very difficult. You'll have to work with some deep well sockets. So the other thing is, you can see on this side, it's not straight. It's slanted a bit. So you know, the intuition is everything's perpendicular, right? Well, no. Actually, the bolt goes in about like this. So when you're orienting it with the sill, it's at easily a good 20 degrees off from the sill. So don't break your head, your knuckles, trying to get the bolt to go in this way. It's at an angle. It goes in like this. And the other thing is, I don't know if you can really tell from this angle, but the bolt in this case it's not perpendicular this way. It actually goes up a little bit. So before all I'm suggesting on this is take your bolt, do a dry run, make sure that you can see in your mind the direction that it's going and the hole that it's going in. And the other thing is, don't try to do it with the carpet in place. It's a lot easier when you're just dealing with 2 pieces of metal and the obstruction of this channel, but the carpeting makes it that much harder. So what I did in this case is you pull the carpet back a little, and we're going to get it in place with just a couple of screws, and then I'm going to use a screwdriver here and I'm going to shove the carpet back in there and then tighten it once we get that started. So that's just lessons learned. Make it a little easier on yourself, and pick up where I left off on trial and error. So I hope that makes it a little bit easier. Oh, and lastly, one little trick here. So when you're dealing with a deep well socket, you won't be able to get your fingers in there, but you'll be able to get the deep well socket in there. But the problem is that once you start putting pressure on it, the screw goes into the socket, right? So it's kind of a pain in the butt, right? So what I suggest that you try, load up your split washer, put this in the end of the socket, and just while your hand's tightening it, take a small, in this case I have a jeweler's screwdriver without a bit, and just put that in the back of the deep well socket, and that will keep it, if just with your thumb right here, it'll keep that screw from going into the socket, and it gives you all those threads to play with. So just clog up the socket as best you can while you're doing the hand tight. Just quick little trick. Hope it helps. So here you can see I've got it tightened up just a couple of threads in there. You got plenty of room in there to jack this carpet around and get it all back to situated before you do your final tightening. So make sure you don't have it doubled up or anything. Just get in there with a screwdriver and manage that carpet. There you go, just like that. Whoops, just like that. There you go. Now it's ready to be tightened. All right, so the first measurement we're going to take here is from where the bolt goes in right here on the transmission hump, up underneath and through this little slot right here to get a measurement of approximately where you want the seat belt, the end of the seat belt would be this component right here, where you want that to terminate. In order to make a determination where you want that to terminate, you need to move the seat, the whole seat, forwards and backwards, the expected extent. And in this case, 1 foot, I believe, is adequate. 12 inches from that screw to that screw right there. And that's what we ended up with on this side. You can see we've already installed this side, so you can see it's really easy to figure out where you want that to be. There's a lot of really tight controls up in here. You have the seat adjuster. In this case, you have the handbrake, and so you really can't make it stick out too far, and you don't want it to be that visible. And again, that's the whole reason for getting the retractable seat belts, is so that pretty much everything is hidden until you want to use it, and there it is, boom. So that's the first measurement. From that bolt hole through the little channel right here, and get that measurement. In this case, on the MGB, we went with 1 foot. All right, so the second measurement is from the retractor. In this case, you can see I've got a nail in the hole, and I've got the tape measure secured with that nail hole. And that's where the retractor will go. So from that point, we're going to start from there and then loop the band where the band should go, and make it loose, because you want to be able to get in and out. You want it to be loose if you push the seat forward, obviously, or if someone's a little bit more rotund, touching the seat belt with your stomach right there at the steering wheel. But you just need to, I'm not going to give you a number here, because it's going to vary based on what your tendencies are and what your preferences are. But that's the measurements that you'll use to make the proper selection for your lap belts. Here you can see on the passenger side, you've already got this one installed. And if I pull this one all the way out, it goes quite a ways out. Whoops. The detents. Pull it and pull it and pull it. We have just lap belt for days, and it gives you a lot of room for you to tighten it down and and then you just let it go and it grabs. It's comfortable, it's very adjustable, really easy to take on, take off, and when you're not there, it's gone. And that's the whole idea behind the retractor. All right, so those are the measurements that you'll need to make that selection. Hopefully, you know, the installation will go just as easy. It's just a bolt on either end. If you have the original equipment, that works. You don't have to buy the installation kit, so you can save a lot of money instead of getting the $189 selection from Moss, which is the only retractable lap belts that you can get from Moss, and I think those are even 3-point. So you're gonna end up engaging this capped hole for a shoulder bolt, or for this shoulder strap to come across, and we're not going to be using that in this case. We're just going with the lap belts. So it's a lot less expensive. It's easy to install, and I'll put links in the description on how to find these on seatbeltsplus.com.